Yep, and here we are. We're live. Hey, everyone. Welcome to another show, another great interview here on the marketingnetwork.tv. I'm your host, Robert Imbriale. So happy today. I woke up this morning thinking, boy, what a blessed day I'm going to have. I get to share the podium here, I guess you'd call it, with a really good friend of mine, somebody I've known for, I'm guessing, 17 years. In fact, you can believe it. It's really, we've been friends for a long time. Her name, you may know her as Debbie Bermont now, but she's no longer Debbie Bermont. She's now Debbie Lynn Grace. She's got a new name. If you're confused by that, do what I do. I just call her Debbie 2.0 because she's just regenerated herself and regenerated her message, and she's coming out with all new stuff. And I'm so excited today because we're going to be talking to her about really how do you become successful as an entrepreneur if you're a highly sensitive person. That's me, and Debbie is as well, and so many of the people in our audience are. And you look at that and you say, well, how do you become successful if you can't deal with criticisms, or if you have a hard time when people say no, or that whole process of business is all about that. It's all about taking the knocks and keeping going. So we're going to be talking about that today. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really happy to have you here joining us. And let me bring on my guest, Debbie. Welcome.
Hi.
It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I know. We've been planning this for a while. You were here 2 weeks ago. I had just finished an interview with Lisa.
Yeah.
And you stopped by, and it was fun because we had everyone in the studio. We were just hanging out here and having a great time. And you sat in the chair for a little while and got comfortable with it and said, I think I could do this. And I said, yeah, you got it. You got to come over. It's a lot of fun. We'll have a great time today.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about what my curiosity is with you is that you've transitioned from when I knew you were the marketing girl. Right, you were teaching marketing, small business, and all the rest of that kind of stuff that I was doing. I think that's what really brought us together as far as becoming friends. We live in the same world.
All right.
And now you've transitioned, and now you're doing something that's even more fun.
Yeah.
And I think it's really making a bigger impact, and I'm so proud of you to watch you just grow and expand. It's like the rose that just opens up. But tell us a little about the transition and how you got here and working with highly sensitive people and all that good stuff.
Well, I think that our journey in life takes us on a lot of unexpected turns, as you know. And
Absolutely.
I have made a commitment that wherever my journey takes me, if it's coming from a higher guidance, that's where I'm going. And so that's a very short answer to really a lifelong journey. And so as you mentioned, my background is marketing. My background is business growth. 30 years working with people, predominantly for 20 years working with entrepreneurs and helping them grow their business. But coincidentally, because of a life-changing event 20 years ago, I also started to learn energy work. And in doing that,
this was your sister that was doing the energy work, and it really
my sister
in, right?
My sister was doing was a very, very gifted healer and an energy worker, and in 1995 I went through an unexpected divorce and was really having a lot of challenges with getting through that divorce and thinking, will I ever wake up happy again? And my older sister said to me some words that profoundly changed the rest of my life. And I didn't know it at the time that it was going to have that huge of an impact. And she said, it's time for you to learn what I do. And I'm like, I'm a marketing expert. Why would I learn energy work, right? I didn't even know what energy work was.
That's exactly right.
And she said the magic words. And these are the magic words that is all of a sudden now my legacy to all of you. To you and to all of your listeners and to everybody that's watching this. And the magic word she said to me is because it will make you happy. And in that moment, all I could think of was I'll do anything to be happy again because I wasn't feeling it. And I think a lot of people in working with thousands of entrepreneurs over the years, what they're focusing on wealth, prosperity, building their business. But then underneath all of that, it's a profound wanting to be happy and to lead a life of value, a life of purpose, and to be authentic and to be that kind of congruency. And so I started to learn something called flow alignment and connection. It's an energy work. And really simple, practical layman's terms, what that means is I have the ability to track energy anywhere in any person or any situation, see where there's an energy block, and facilitate the flow so the energy block is released. So in business, an energy block would be preventing you from getting more customers, more clients, right? making more money, right? In your own personal well-being, an energy block shows up as fear, as lack, as limitation. Now, being born highly sensitive, I grew up being teased for my sensitivity, and so I was too sensitive. Have you ever? Does that ring a bell at all?
All the time.
Yeah, being told you're too sensitive, right?
Yeah.
So I could feel energy around me. I wasn't an energy worker. And as a kid, I didn't know what that meant. All I knew is if something didn't feel safe, I became hypersensitive, hyper cautious, and so everybody was told I was too sensitive. Well, what's interesting about that is when you grow up feeling that you're being told that you shouldn't be a way that you're being, you learn to be quiet. You learn to start suffering in silence, and you learn something else that will have a huge impact on somebody's prosperity is you learn to become completely self-reliant.
Absolutely. Yep.
And
you're talking about me here.
Yeah, so you learn to not ask for help.
Ever.
You learn to be completely self-reliant. You learn to be a giver, because as a highly sensitive person, you want other people to be happy. So you become the giver, right? And in those moments where things are too challenging, you learn to withdraw and protect yourself. So why am I here today? I'm here today because I felt so guided that most of the entrepreneurs that I worked with are highly sensitive. And being a highly sensitive person myself, I was really guided to move into the direction and work, and I've had profound changes just in the last year alone with thousands, just in the last year with thousands of people who are highly sensitive, to help them lead a life, a prosperous and abundant and authentic life, and feel great as a highly sensitive person, not feel misunderstood or judged or criticized. So that's why I'm here, and
it makes a big difference. I mean, you brought up a really good point. I'm going to just go back to that for a second. You would talk about business owners, and we say, well, it's it's a marketing skill. You and I have played this game for forever. We work with people, and it's like, you need a new marketing skill. You need a new web page. Here's a new business card or a new flyer. We don't do flyers anymore, but when we're doing them back, you need a new web page, or maybe you need a new landing page, or maybe you need some videos,
or you need more social media.
Right, and it ends up being just the how-to, and all of the how-to stuff is great, but if you're not functioning emotionally able to deal with this stuff, it always ends up being a waste of time and money.
Yeah, well, more importantly, for somebody that's highly sensitive, and if you're an entrepreneur and you're highly sensitive, there's a point where you take on too much information and you shut down. So for a highly sensitive person to take a business course where it's a lot of information and it's different for everybody. I mean, everybody's sensitivities are a little different, but there's a point where you get into overwhelm, and the minute you get into that overwhelm, everything shuts down. Okay, so now what happens is you thought you were learning something that you needed, you shut down, you start to procrastinate, and that has a direct effect on your wealth.
Forward, exactly, and you never get through the course, you never finish anything, and
right.
It's a story
it's a snowball effect.
Yeah, and it's not just me; it's so many people I've worked with over the years, and you as well. You see the pattern again and again. I'm glad you're bringing this up because I know there are a lot of people in the audience that can resonate with this.
Yeah.
So what do you do? How do you work with them? How do you help them to see these patterns? Do you hold up a mirror and say, look what's really going on? Because we have them and we don't necessarily know where they're coming from.
Yeah, so a couple of things. That's a really great point. The first thing is, I believe you don't have to know where anything comes from. It's kind of crazy, right?
I like that.
I believe that if you're trying to spend your life trying to get to the source, all you're doing is focusing on the problem. That's all you're doing if you're trying to get to the source. As a highly sensitive person, the place you start is, first of all, to acknowledge that you're highly sensitive, own it and embrace it. And in my perspective, when I work with people, I show them that being highly sensitive is not a challenge, it's a gift. And with every gift, there's a challenge. With every challenge, there's a gift. And most people that are highly sensitive, particularly if they're an entrepreneur, and their sensitivities, that they go into overwhelm, they procrastinate, they feel like they're not sure what to do next, they don't have clarity. Well, those are all signs of, all it is a sign of operating in a low vibration. So what I do is I help them focus on living in a high vibration, because when you're living in a high vibration, none of this else matters.
You make it sound so simple.
It is.
All you do is raise your vibration, everything changes for you.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. That really is about. And I'll give you a real solid example of that to make it just real practical instead of real theory. Well, just raise your vibration, right? Okay.
Yeah. A story would be really helpful here.
Okay. All right. So I'm not even do a story. I'll use you as an example.
We'll role play. Okay.
Yeah. Well, we won't even role play. I want you to be really honest about it. There's topics and there's certain levels of expertise that you are 100% confident, right?
Right.
Okay, so tell me one.
Marketing.
So you're really confident that if you have a client and they throw you a situation, you can help them solve their problem and move forward, right?
No question.
Scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're 100% confident.
Yeah.
Okay. When you're wearing that identity as a confident person, so when you just gave the scenario as a marketer, it's your identity as a marketer, you feel 100% confident, you have a voice of confidence in your head that's in a high vibration. It's already there. So what I'm saying, everybody is already pre-wired to be prosperous. Everybody. So you don't have to be, listening to this, you don't have to be brilliant at marketing, but you are already pre-wired, you have a voice of confidence because there's something that you are already confident. Cooking, gardening, problem solving, singing, whatever it is, right? So that voice, if I ask you internally, if you were to tune in, you'd probably hear something like, oh yeah, that's easy. I can do that. I'll figure it out, right? Yep. So even if you don't know the answer, the confidence voice comes in and says, I'll figure it out.
Yeah, if I don't know the answer, I know where to look.
Yeah, you know where to look, and you know that somehow, some way, it's all going to come together.
Right.
Now, if we took a different topic that maybe you're not so confident in, something, and this is where people start to get triggered. And they start to really, when they're operating in a low vibration, there's going to be areas. So if we're talking about prosperity today, if you've got in your life thoughts of fear around paying your bills, worrying where your money's going to come from, where's your next dollar, those are all low vibration thoughts. Well, when you start to there's an identity then that is operating in a low vibration. I can't do this. I won't be able to pay my bills. It's the language of I can't. So the distinction is the language between I can and I can't. High vibration, low vibration. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Oh, good. Affirmations, right?
No. No, I'm not thinking that at all.
What are you thinking?
That was my biggest challenge with the bills, was always the bills would come in, and when I would literally feel fear. Like, how am I going to pay them? How am I going to pay them?
Right.
And it was, I'm going to say, about 7-8 years ago, I had a piece of advice from somebody.
Yeah.
And they said, what you do is you put all the bills on your desk in front of you. Your biggest fear, right? You put it in front of you. And I came up with a mantra, and I just said, every bill that comes in will get paid. And I started to build confidence around that. And what I took out of the equation was, it may not get paid on time, but it gets paid.
Yeah.
And that's what started to happen. So I was paying some bills 3, 4, 5 months late sometimes, but every bill got paid.
Okay.
And I started to build momentum and have more confidence in it, because the more I got bills paid, well, the more confident I became around it. Right. And it sort of eliminated the fear over time.
Okay.
So that's one strategy. I don't know that that's the one you're going for, but that's what worked for me.
Let me tell you the power behind that.
Okay.
Right? You were focusing on the action, like, well, I'll just, I'll keep doing this, and then eventually I'll be confident at it, right? But you illustrated something that is really important, which is you developed traction in the voice of I can. You developed traction. You did it over and over again, and in traction. And the biggest challenge that people have is, and for those of you that are, that are watching, the biggest challenge is people think there's a quick fix and they want an instant solution. So an instant solution in turning your life around is like saying, I want to lose 25 pounds tomorrow. Just tomorrow.
Not going to happen.
Well, no, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. That's too big a jump,
That
right?
being said, I've had people have transformations in working with them like this, because you can shift like this from a low vibration to a high vibration.
Right.
But what it takes, though, is it takes like this again over and over again so that you have traction in the high vibration. It's easy to move from a low to a high. It's easy to actually move out of fear instantly. Very easy. And so the most important thing one of the things I like people to walk away with is, it is far easier to shift from a low vibration to a high vibration physically than it is mentally. And
Tell me. I want to know more.
Most programs focus on you focusing on the mental aspect, success mindset, focusing on affirmation, or they focus on tasks. Do this, and it's still the mental. What's going to happen is your brain will keep resisting it if it's still in a low vibration. But your brain gets taken out of the equation if you can move yourself first physically into a high vibration. Your mind will follow. So the fastest way to do it is through your breath. So let me just explain the mechanics of this. When you're operating in fear, when you're operating in your head, I can't pay my bills, I'm worried about money, I don't feel safe, people aren't going to like me, I'm going to fail, any of those, you cut off the energy flow from here down. So there's no energy flow happening. Well, when there's no energy flow, it means you're not grounded, okay? When you're not grounded, any decision you make is going to be fear-based, because now you're looping in your head. It's why people can't sleep at night. It's why you can't seem to get out of being stuck in your head. It's why people rethink the same thing over and over again. It's why people go, I can't do this, and it seems really overwhelming. Because there's no energy flow from here down. There's no space for you to tap in to your intuition, which is where your whole abundant life is waiting for you. Your abundant life is waiting for you right here, right now, as long as you tap into it. It's impossible to tap into it when there's no energy flow from here down.
Then you're not talking about meditation now. You're talking simply about breath, like yoga kind of breathing.
So I'm talking about just right now, if I were to take a deep breath in through my nose and exhale through my mouth. Just breathing in, inhaling and exhaling. So for those of you that want to do a really simple exercise, sit in a chair. So there's a couple of things. You sit in a chair with a back to it. You place both feet flat on the ground. You and then just lean back, like we're both doing right now, right? And so first what you're doing is you're connecting to the earth by placing both feet flat on the ground. You're now opening up the possibility of an even energy flow. The other thing you're doing is with your breath, as soon as you start to inhale and exhale, you're now bringing the energy down. And this is things that people don't normally teach. They don't teach that when you have the energy moving up, you cut off all the opportunity to tap into this abundant world that we live in. And you actually minimize the ability to receive. The more grounded you are, the more energy flow, the more you have an availability to receive. Does that make sense?
Yep.
100% direct correlation. So what I do is I teach kind of the tools of being able to be grounded and having energy flow. And from there, that's the first place you start. Now you physically have moved into a higher vibration by opening up the energy flow. And you don't have to be an energy worker. It's real simple. Now notice what I told you to do. I didn't tell you to sit with your legs crossed like in a yoga position. Right. I didn't tell you to do this. I said that I want you to have your back, leaning against a chair, but straight back. Now, why do I want you to do that? I want the energy to be moving down your spine, down your legs, out your feet into the earth. And so when you do that, by having your feet flat on the ground, you're actually connecting to the earth and you're acknowledging the earth, right? You're acknowledging your connection. The other good thing about that is the more you breathe and you relax into the chair, you realize that you're completely supported. So now you have the whole energy of being supported. When you're in a place of fear, the first thing you do is you feel completely alone and you trigger into, I have to figure it out, I have to work harder. You feel completely unsupported unless you yourself figure it out, you yourself, so you become completely self-reliant, and you have just tapped into working a lot harder. And so now it's no longer about receiving, it's now about the doing. So the question I have is, which do you want? You want to work really hard, really, really hard to make something happen? Or would you like to be supported, sit back and be supported, and just breathe and know that you can receive? Now, part of that receiving is the message that feels right and congruent on what's the next step, what action to take. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's sort of counterintuitive because everything we've been taught in all the seminars we've attended is work harder, work harder, work harder, get out of bed early, stay up late, and, do this kind of thing. And it's like, well, that's not necessarily the way to get there.
No, that's
we know better these days.
Well, okay, so that I want to be fair, because the fact is that there's a lot of people out there that their programs are all about goal setting, and their programs are all about making a plan and achieving that plan and working really hard. Okay, so I'm not taking out of the equation of setting a goal. I'm not taking out of the equation of having a plan. What I'm taking out of the equation is the energy of that it's all about you to have that happen, and that you have to really work hard to make it happen. That's all I'm taking out of the equation. So instead,
well, that's a good piece to take out, because I think that's where a lot of people are failing.
That's why a lot of people are, they're failing, they're struggling. By the way, that formula, which I call focus success, which is what we're taught in school, get an A. You're always striving for the A. You're always striving to work hard. You're always striving to have a bigger, higher goal. That's what we're taught in school. We're raised that way. You can have great results that way. I don't want to, I'm going to be honest. You can make a lot of money that way, but here's what happens. It can be ultimately to the detriment of your health, to your well-being. It absolutely does not guarantee you happiness. It does not guarantee that you're living a life of purpose and fulfillment. It could take a toll on your personal relationships to follow that formula. I like to call, the formula that I use is it's called soul-aligned success, which means that you're now bringing your intuition into the equation, you're bringing your internal guidance in the equation, and you're opening up to manifesting. Part of your equation is not about the doing, it's about the being and the manifesting. Allow the universe to help you in that equation, because it's going to bring you a lot more.
So the doing, you're doing from a guided position. You're not doing
exactly
just from, I got to do this, here's my list, I got to get these things done.
Yes.
You're doing it when it feels right to do it.
Right. So if your energy is from here down, there's no flow, right? It's shut off. Which, by the way, you'll know the signs when that happens. The minute you have any kind of fear-based thinking, it's shut off, guaranteed. It's gone. All right. So when that happens, the dialogue that's always going to kick in is, you're a failure. Oh, now you have to work harder. You're procrastinating. So you've got a voice of judgment in there about what you're not doing right. And then another voice is going to come in and say, you better work harder. And then the voice of judgment is going to come back. Yeah, but if you work harder, you're still going to fail. Now you're in a no-win situation.
That's the voice of your personal trainer, your coach.
Right, right.
They always in the back of your head.
But it's always going to tell you to work harder.
Right.
Oh, look what you've done. You haven't worked. You shouldn't have done this. You should have taken a different course. You shouldn't have signed up for that course. You should have signed up for that course. It's a it's a no-win situation for you. When you have flow and you are focused on living every aspect of your life in a higher vibration, every decision you make is going to be a soul-based decision. It's going to be always in your favor. Always in your favor. It's going to give you a level of discernment on who to work with, a level of discernment on what is the right next step, a level of discernment of, no, right now, it's just important that you just sit back and relax. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, so the action you're taking is an inspired action rather than a motivated action.
Absolutely.
Big difference.
Huge difference, huge difference. And I'll tell you
something.
Full
agreement with her. She's really good. I'm loving this.
you get a lot more done, actually. Your productivity will increase by doing sometimes less, believe it or not. And I'm just saying that I work maybe 40 to 50% less than I used to. and I'm making double what I used to. Now you might be thinking, well, because you're doing something different. What I'm doing different is everything that I do is about living in a high vibration. Every aspect of my life, how I eat, who I choose to work with, what I choose to do next, what I teach. I mean, everything is all about being aligned with what I'm guided to do and what brings me a lot of fulfillment and ultimately brings other people in fulfillment. So when you kind of circle this back to where we started in this conversation, particularly if you're an entrepreneur and you're highly sensitive, you ingrained at an early age and developed traction in this thinking of, I better not ask for help. I better not speak up because I'm going to be judged. I'm going to have to figure out how to do this myself. And if you kind of raise yourself to be that way, ultimately, it's going to make things harder.
Yeah.
Which makes it a lot harder to not only create a successful business, but a lot more effort. And I am a huge advocate of getting the greatest results, being the happiest and most fulfilled, and doing the least amount of work. And all together, none of it are mutually exclusive. Does that sound good?
It does. And, it's the curse of the entrepreneur. I mean, we take the entrepreneur. The word itself is a French word, right? It's from the French verb entreprendre, which means undertaking. So it literally translates to undertaker. And what we are is we undertake everything, right? Everything that comes up, we're going to do. We're going to do the accounting. We're going to wash the floors. We're going to vacuum. We're going to do all of it. And we just get into this position where we don't ask for help. And we're always taught that the business owner is more successful than the entrepreneur. What's the business owner?
Yeah, letting everybody else do it.
And they're letting everybody else do it. And they're just overseeing it all, which is a lot easier, a lot less stressful than being the one who's in the fire all the time.
Yeah, it's not even about that, Robert. It's not even about being an entrepreneur and doing some of the things yourself. Of course, that's a whole conversation about delegation. And that's cool. That's great. I'm talking more about the energy you feel internally in your body. The energy of when you've got a never-ending to-do list in your head, it can shut you down. You could end up being so overwhelmed by all of that energy that's just from here to here, where you can't hold it anymore. I'm actually talking about the bigger picture. I'm not really even talking about being more efficient. I'm not talking about me more efficient. I'm talking about actually realizing that you can lean back in a chair and in the world and in your life and be fully supported. It's a bigger picture.
And that's a message everyone needs to hear.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm not falling down because I'm supported underneath also. I'm being carried, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're walking, the gravity, and you're supported by the earth. It's that continual reminder. So every day you walk in gratitude that you're fully supported and fully taken care of. That is what prosperity means. And to take it a step further, it means that you're not trying to get to a destination of prosperity. You lead a prosperous life. No matter what's in your bank account, you lead a prosperous life. We're abundant in opportunities. We're abundant in possibilities. We're abundant in support. We're abundant in information. Do you know what I'm saying? We're abundant in ideas. We're abundant in passion. We live a life of abundance, and when you're operating from that lower vibration of thinking, all you're focused on what you don't have instead of what's all available to you.
Nice. Okay, we're going to wrap up we're already gone a half hour already. We're going to wrap up our Facebook live stream here, but before we do, I want to let people know where they can find out more about you, where they can go and learn more about what you have to offer, because this is really good stuff, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are really going to benefit from what you have to offer.
Great. Oh, thank you. You can go to my website at debbielynngrace.com, so DEBBIELYNNGRACE.com. And there's a couple things. If you're a highly sensitive person, I do have programs for highly sensitive people. But even if you're not a highly sensitive person, I offer a free download, and it's an hour-long or maybe 75-minute-long audio about literally how do you move into a high vibration, the formula to move into that high vibration. So it's there, it's free, feel free to go ahead and download it and listen in and get some, real practical help.
I love that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go back to what we're doing here, because a lot of people ask about the Marketing Network. MarketingNetwork.tv is what this is all about. And I see Thea Johnson just said, great points. Thank you, Thea. We appreciate that. We're streaming live on Facebook, so we get to see your comments if you want to comment there. It's really great. So I decided a long time ago that there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there that really want to get training, want to talk to really great people like you and learn from some of the best minds out there. But sometimes the training is a little on the expensive side. Let's face it, some of these programs are thousands of dollars to get involved with. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to take the Netflix concept and create a website that is specifically for business owners, where you're going to get great interviews, great training, that kind of thing. And let's keep the price really low. Let's make it really affordable. So the MarketingNetwork.tv is something I'm building right now, and we've got almost 20 interviews in there now. We're putting new ones up pretty much every week now, and it's really a lot of fun because I get to spend time with great people like you, Debbie. I appreciate that so much. And you'll be able to go in there and you have, for $97 a year or $9.99 a month, you'll have access to all the interviews in their entirety. Now what's going to happen right now is we're going to say goodbye to the Facebook Live audience, and we're going to continue our interview for another 30 minutes. And the entire interview is going to be posted over there on the MarketingNetwork.tv, usually within a couple of days. So if you're looking at this and you're seeing some of the interviews we've done before and you say, hey, they end at 30 minutes roughly, you're right, they do. And the full interview, it's edited, it's cleaned up, it's, we make it really nice for you, and it's inside the MarketingNetwork.tv. Go have a look if it's something you want to do. I'd love to have you there. And for anyone who signs up this week, I'm going to send you a copy of my book, Motivational Marketing.
Nice. And
I will sign it. So no charge for that. It's $97. Sign up for the annual program and it'll be a blast, and I'll get that book over to you. Debbie, thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Continuing conversation. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.